you give the spirit to small business and all, like you invented, I need to talk to you about the pricing of housing in America. I just looked up at Corcoran Group, and I'm going to pay $34,000 on taxes on a piece in Brooklyn. How have we done this? How have we priced America out of real estate?
Well, most people are priced out of the market. You're exactly right. The market has been going absolutely bonkers with no end in sight. You know, prices nationwide have gone up 18%. I have never seen an increase like that in the 30 years. The last 30 years, I think, was the last time. No one could believe what's going on. In fact, if you want to buy a house, I don't know how you did on your purchase, but everything's being sold in bidding wars, or 60% of the houses. I mean, people are so uncomfortable, and yet they keep paying the prices, and there's no end in sight.
Barbara, I looked at the regression, rather, of housing in 04, 05, 06, and you know what? We regressed back to the mean. You lived that at Corcoran Group. Are we going to do the same thing this time?
I did.
Are we going to do it again?
No, it's not the same kind of a market. No. You know what you have? Today's market is fueled by individual buyers who want a better place to live. They bring their businesses home. They want to raise their kids. When we had that drop off, it was fueled by investors, house flippers, poor mortgages that shouldn't have been mortgage companies that shouldn't have been lending money at the time. I mean, it was a false market with a false bottom, and it fell. We're not going to have that now. I'm just hoping that the prices cool down a bit, because as you started to say just a minute ago, so many people are left out of the market. It just seems unfair. Just to have a house, you have to feel like you have to be a pro-investor bidding up the prices. It's just insanity. I've never seen anything like it.
Barbara, this is for individuals, but it's also for small corporations, and I know you do speak with a lot of them. I'm wondering how much this dampens their enthusiasm, their optimism, their willingness to hire, to expand, if the fixed costs are going up as quickly as they are.
With the fixed costs going up for business, that's not always true, all right? Commercial rents are much lower than they were. If you were talking about business, I'm assuming, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So their fixed costs are actually lower. People are renting less space. People who have large floor plates in large metropolitan areas are negotiating their way out of the leases. They're subleasing the space. Retail prices have come down. No one wants a large retail space anymore because it's a shop front versus holding all of the inventory. They don't do that anymore. They sell it online. So actually the cost of doing business has come down. And of course, the main problem with all of business right now is finding the right people. That is the single largest challenge, whether you own a restaurant, a shoe shop, or a giant corporation. Hiring and finding and luring in the right people has been the biggest challenge.
But Barbara, we have not seen the increase in wages that we would have expected, given all of the labor market shortages that we hear about. In fact, it still lags behind the pace of inflation. Bill Dudley, formerly of the New York Fed, was just on the show, and he was saying he thinks that it will accelerate pretty dramatically in the near term. Do you see evidence from small business owners that they are willing to pay up that much more dramatically in the upcoming months that will lead to that kind of wage inflation?
You know what? They're going to not have a choice. So far, they've had a choice. They've cut back on their staff. They intentionally cut back on their overhead. They got rid of everybody they really didn't want working for them during the pandemic. I mean, all these companies slimmed down and got their house in order. Whether or not they're willing to pay a higher wage remains to be seen. But so far, they are not. People are holding on to their profits and are very reluctant to let any of that money out.
Barbara,
it's more, I don't want to use the word selfish, but I would say, yes, people want a little greed has set in, but they're going to have to give something.
Barbara, one final question. You, in support with AT&T, are actually out there talking to real people. These are webinars and things like that, where Barbara Corcoran, folks, is talking to people about small businesses. Let me raise my hand in the back room of the Zoom call. Barbara, could you do now what you did then?
Yes, I could, because you know what? The pandemic has proven that, and that's what the purpose of the Business Unusual webinar series presented by AT&T actually is. We're trying to give people the tools they need to reinvent themselves with very little money in their hand. And today's market accommodates that. Everybody is rewriting their business plan, redoing the way they deliver their products to customers, reinventing how they could attract customers in. And that's actually why AT&T decided to do the webinar series, because a lot of people don't know how to do that.
Okay.
I know how to do it. I know how
I'll
to get
say,
the people
yeah.
who could tell people how to do it.